Hey everybody, Tony D and little Joan here. Oh, what a day yesterday. So busy and so just a flurry of activity. I'm trying to catch up today. It's Sunday, and this is what I do on Sunday is I catch up to all the things I missed during the week. I completely blew this week for a lot of reasons, but I did want to get right at the top to election stuff. And look, you're going to see a lot of stuff today and in the coming weeks where everybody's screaming, hey, Trump is turning us into a banana republic, someone said today. And you're going to see conservatives start to break too. Now, part of that is, yeah, they're rhinos. A few of them are rhinos. A guy like Mitt Romney, I mean, what'd you expect? Some of them, though, are genuinely demoralized and tired of the entire process. This was never going to be easy. And there is a good chance, well, I would say I'm still sticking to my 85% chance that Trump's going to pull this off. But that leaves a significant 15% that he's not. I mean, and as far as I know, that may not even be the plan. Trump may already know he's going to lose, and he may be laying the groundwork for 2024 for himself or for one of his kids or for Pence. Who knows? Who knows what goes on in the minds of the Trump? But, this isn't going away. It's just that a lot of people, once this election is over, really need a break. They do. And look, I needed a break yesterday, and that's why I did 2 screenwriting videos. We're going to have to start at some point winding it back, no matter which way it goes. No one can sustain this forever because you get a little nutty after a while. And there has been some reports that, and I get caught up in it too, somebody tweeted, the Trump campaign just turned over 200,000 votes. And that didn't appear to be true. I had to delete the tweet. It was the same number with 2 extra zeros as the 2,000 and change that got dismissed in Allegheny. So you got to be careful. You get caught up in this stuff. And everybody does. And I'm no different. But, I try to be as truthful as possible. I'm just analyzing things. I'm not a reporter. But this one is very interesting. This is on the Gateway Pundit. Young internet sleuth reveals evidence showing over 23,000 PA ballots were filled out and returned before they were even mailed to voters. Now this, you can see the links. They're on Twitter. They were TikTok videos, and then they got taken down, and then, or at least one did. And then they got put up on Twitter. So there's 3 videos. The Gateway Pundit has all 3 links to Twitter, and you can see them yourself. And he's basically going through the PA website and all the voter information, and he's found a bunch of discrepancies. Now, I already know what the government's reaction is because it's the government's reaction to everything. Oh, well, we made some mistakes. Oh, that's just a glitch. This is what the government does on everything. When you go to the DMV and they F up your driver's license and you say, wait a minute, this isn't my picture. They just go, oh, we made a mistake. And then they fix it or try to. But they're not going to admit like they effed up or that their system is stupid. They're just going to say, oh, well, what's the quickest thing we could say to shut you up? So this is a kind of mistake like that writ large. Except, it's a presidential campaign, so it's a lot more important than that. But, these are bureaucrats and politicians. They're not gonna admit anything until they're caught red-handed, stuffing the ballots in a fireplace in a video where they're like, oh, looks like you got me. I mean, at that point, they go, yeah, but, I left the house with 400 votes to burn, and you only caught me with 23, and the ashes in that fireplace were here when I got there. I mean, that's how bad they are. They'll lie to the absolute end, because that's what you need to do if you're a politician or a bureaucrat. You need to be able to lie your way out of situations. And so This is more evidence that there's tons of problems with our voting system. But, you know, people on the right say, see, this is proof Donald Trump won. And people on the left say, see, you people are making a big deal about nothing. And the situation will be reversed in an election that's the other way around. Be totally reversed. And we all know that. So, look, this is more malfeasance. I think Trump won. I think the Democrats pulled out all the stops to win. I still stand by that opinion, and it's just an opinion. You know, people are blasting me left and right on the internet, and I'm just like, well, I think Trump's going to win. I think you should count him out, but go ahead and, you know, call me an idiot. I don't care. One guy in particular on Reddit, man, he's just relentless. He has continued this thread nonstop. And now he's in the insult phase where he just insults me. And I'm just like, okay, I mean, like, what do you want from me, dude? You know, I pointed out that Trump still has a legal path to victory. And that legal path is getting the SCOTUS. Now, here's some bad news. And brace yourselves a little bit. But, you know, understand that it could come to this. The SCOTUS blog, which reports on the Supreme Court, is saying that SCOTUS doesn't want to touch this. Now, is that true? It might be. I mean, SCOTUS blog covers this stuff, and they're not a bunch of left-wing ideologues. So, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe they won't have a choice. Maybe they are signaling they don't want to touch it, and they will. Maybe the SCOTUS blog just is guessing. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? And maybe the evidence isn't totally out yet. Maybe they just are saying that because the evidence isn't there yet. But, you know, there's still a few weeks. And we still have to go through this process. So the people screaming, Trump is stealing the election. It's a coup. It's a democracy. Ah! These people don't understand that, you know, Al Gore went through the same process. And they say, oh, that was different. It really wasn't all that different. I mean, people were screaming that the Republicans were stealing the election. It's just that the media, in conjunction with basically the Democrats, neoliberals, I guess you would call them, decided that, yeah, we're going to give it to Bush. We don't want it. Gore would be facing a hostile Congress. I think at that time, I want to say they might have had the House, just barely, but Gore was facing a hostile Congress and was going to have his policies mostly stymied for 4 years. And they were going by, you know, the numbers at that time. I believe they didn't have, I want to say they didn't have the House. It probably makes more sense they didn't have the House because that was the end of the Newt Gingrich era. They had come in on a wave. So I guess it was the Senate they had, but just barely. And then there was indications they were going to lose the Senate in the midterms. And the Dems felt that giving it to Bush was better in the long term for them. So that's one of the reasons they say Gore immediately conceded. Like, as soon as they called it for Bush, he immediately conceded. Now, some people called it for Gore, but they did call it for Bush, and then Gore conceded like the next day. But the outcry at that time was so like, hey, what do you mean you're conceding? It's close. Recount the votes. Then Gore went back and unconceded, which was so embarrassing. At that point, I was like, geez. Now, I voted for Ralph Nader at the time. I didn't vote for either one of those morons, but, you know, I wanted a recount. I wanted to know who really won. Plus, they were blaming Ralph Nader for the loss. And so there was a lot of malfeasance in Florida at that time. The woman who ran the Bush campaign in Florida also ran the voting. I don't know what her position was. Catherine Harris was her name. She also was in charge of voting in Florida. And Bush's brother was governor of Florida. So, yeah, do I think the election was stolen in 2000? Oh, you damn right I do. You damn right I do. And I thought Bush should have been impeached from the day he got in. I was happy to see Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11, that they threw eggs at his limo, and he was an effer, and I wanted to see him go. But like a lot of people, a few weeks went by, and it was just like, well, how much damage could he do? He'll probably, and after a few months, it was like, yeah, this guy's an idiot. There's no way he's going to get reelected. And then 9/11 happened. And then, oh no, because it gave him the ammo to basically do whatever he wanted. And between Bush, Cheney, the neocons, and all the other people, they did tons of damage. Tons of damage. But they also made tons of money, which was probably the point. What shook out of that, though, is that Florida made their voting process, let's call it, much more robust. As did Ohio, because there were some... I don't think there was a chance. It wasn't that close in Ohio, but there were some rumblings about things happening in Ohio. So they revamped the voting system in both states. And you'll note that this time around, they didn't really have any problems in those two states, and they haven't in a long time. Even in Wisconsin has, I think, a strict no mail ballot policy, I want to say. Oh, somebody was saying, probably Tim Pool. And I think they vigorously looked at those votes. So, Wisconsin is close, but the system there is better than probably, say, Michigan and Pennsylvania. So it's probably going to be tougher just to bridge that gap with any kind of fraud claims or whatever. But all that being said, this time around, I don't know what the plan is in the Trump administration. The Democrats bowed out in 2000. Now, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's what they should have done. But I understand why they did it. It was political. It was like, ooh, we're going to lose the Congress. Let's just let this one slide, and we'll give it to you, and then we'll come back in 4 years. Politically, that would have been better for them, because in 4 years, had 9/11 not happened, they probably would have came roaring back with Gore and taken over the whole Congress. But it didn't work out that way. See, things don't always work out that way. So for this, my sense of it is, I don't think Trump necessarily is making that kind of play. I don't think he looks that far down. And it's like the old saying, you can't plan for failure. As Rick Sanchez said on Rick and Morty, that's planning for failure, Morty. So you wouldn't want him to plan for failure. So I think he can win this. The question is, if he's going to be blocked at every turn by the judicial system, even after appointing so many members of SCOTUS, it may be like a situation where you can't fight City Hall. It also may be a situation where maybe it's better Biden steps in and really finishes off the Democratic Party, because the Democrats will be, I'm telling you, you don't want Biden in. You really do not want a Biden presidency. Not so much that Biden is inept and senile and all that. He is. And you can see all the guys he's appointing. It's just an S show. You don't want him in because you've burned every bridge. It's the classic example of a Pyrrhic victory. It's a Pyrrhic victory. You'll win that battle, but you're going to lose the war. You're going to lose it big time. You've burned every bridge just to get Biden elected. You've destroyed pretty much all the credibility of the media. You've even destroyed Fox, which has been revealed as the controlled opposition. So Trump set loose for 4 years and then coming back is probably pretty inevitable, unless he is in his 70s. Let's be honest, he's kind of up there. But the guy certainly is not going away, and you may take him off of Twitter, but guess what? When he launches Trump TV, Pretty much he's going to have, I don't know, 70 million viewers. And that will be unstoppable in the world of television and media. You know, Tucker Carlson at his peak, 7 million viewers. It's broken every record on television in cable news. 7 million. That's the peak. Now Trump launches Trump TV. He has 70 million people who voted for him, who believe in him. What do you think's going to happen? If he gets just half that audience, TV, the rest of TV will be in the distance. Trump TV on the internet would crash every server. They would have to dedicate entire sections of Silicon Valley just to keep his videos running. So that'll be worse for Biden, because understand that the Biden fans are going back to sleep. They're already starting to go back to sleep. Most of them don't understand any of this. They're just annoyed that it won't. Oh, why isn't this over? Why doesn't Trump just go away? You know, if Trump finally does go away, yeah, they might have a little bit of a celebration in the streets, but then they're going to go back to tearing each other in half. It's going to be the extreme left versus the neo-libs. And they hate each other. They're going to be tearing the party apart. You know, you're going to have Joe Biden saying, well, we'll do some kind of healthcare thing, and you're going to have the squad going, free healthcare in college and UBI or nothing. What do you think that's going to do? It's, you know, they'll either, you're either going to discredit the squad in the eyes of the extreme left, which is probably likely to happen, because the squad will just roll over and go, well, we voted for it, but we don't like it. And then you're going to have the Young Turks going, oh, they sold out. They sold out, everybody, because they can do that. They're not in politics. You're still going to have the Republicans stopping everything. And let's be honest, the Republicans are way better at that. They're so better at that than the Democrats. You know, stuff in the Supreme Court, forget it. Not going to happen. Most of Biden's promises, they just flat out forget them. Same thing with Kamala Harris. The biggest thing they'll probably do is they'll try to get the trade deals back where they were. They'll flip the whole thing over. And how's that going to look? How is that going to look to the United States? How did it look the first time? Not so good. Not so good. Now you're going to do it the second time when Trump, and it's not even about Trump. It's, let's call it the movement, has 70 million people who feel that they got ripped in an election. And then you're going to go back and redo all his improvements, and then raise our taxes, take our jobs, and give us nothing. How's that going to work? You're just going to have more people. The next time this happens, there's going to be 100 million people voting for him. You won't be able to steal enough votes. You couldn't steal enough votes in 2016. Now, you've stolen them in 2020. But guess what? This isn't going away. They're going to do what they did in Florida and Ohio. They're going to root out all the problems in Detroit, Michigan, Pennsylvania, all these places. In 2022, you're going to see the Republicans suddenly come to life, because now they're going to be like, oh yeah, we can't do that anymore because now it's illegal to bring in trucks, and now we got federal watchers or whatever they're going to have. Ain't going to work. You're going to get more Republicans. In 2022, the Republicans will take all of Congress. And Biden or Kamala Harris will be lucky if they don't get a veto-proof majority. Ugh, how would that look? Oh, not so good. It'd basically be Congress in charge. It'd basically be the Republican Party in charge. Yeah. So, again, you don't really want this. What you want is Trump, because then the Dems could come back in 2022 and probably widen their lead in the House. If they're more reasonable, if they're slightly more reasonable, they could even take the Senate. But this? No, you're just setting yourself up for a worse version of Trump. And what I mean by worst version of Trump, I mean Donald Trump Jr. or, you know, Trump, but somebody younger and somebody who, you know, is going to be ready for your ridiculous, you know, tropes about racism and all that. And, you know, let's be honest, they're wearing pretty thin at this point. You're just going to need a guy who's into populism, into most of the stuff Trump pushed, and what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So, look, don't despair, Trump fans. I think in the end, you know, the Republic's going to be fine. It always goes through back and forth like this. I still think Trump, again, I call it 85% chance of making this work. But, you know, that's just a guess on my part, really. You know, I don't have the inside track here. It's just my gut feeling based on a lot of this evidence. But and keep in mind, I'm very much the optimist. So, but, you know, if the worst does happen, you know, take it. You know, I won't conclude that it's over until Trump does. When Trump either concedes or, you know, walks away from it. It's, I believe, December 14th, you know, or the Electoral College makes their move and, you know, that's it. When it's certified and the Electoral College put their votes in and it's a done deal, and Joe Biden has 270, that's it, right? That's it. And same thing reverse if Donald Trump gets it. What Donald Trump is going for, I believe, is to make sure Biden can't get 270. So I think he has a good shot at that. Now, if the worst happens and they just ram it through, you know, don't despair, because Trump will have another month in office to do oh so much damage to these people. And Biden, man, he's just a train wreck. He's just a train wreck. We're gonna have such a good time making fun of him. It's gonna be great. So don't despair, Trump fans. It's always darkest before the dawn. We may be approaching the cloud, but the light is at the other end of the tunnel.